Hi guys, it's Eleanor here and it's time for my What I Read video, letting you know the books that I've read this week with mini reviews and also a Booktuber Shoutout. Before we start all of that though, I just wanted to show you something that my mother-in-law gave me, which I am absolutely in love with. So my mother-in-law gave me two of these. They are wreaths for Christmas or any time really. This one could be used, and they're made out of old books that have been damaged, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I'll show you the other one. You can see it. This is the other one, if you can see it here, and I just think they are beautiful and I can't wait to use them next year at Christmas and put them up in here. Anyway, I just wanted to show you them because I thought they were wonderful and very bookish. My Booktuber shout out of the week this week is the lovely Rosie from Sparkles Books. I love Rosie's channel. I've really enjoyed getting to know her more this month, or this week especially. We did a buddy read of one of the books that I'm going to be talking about, and it was a really lovely experience, and I just really enjoy watching her videos. She reads very similar books to me and I just enjoy her channel, so check her out. I'll link her down below and go and show her some love. So that's Rosie from Sparkles Books. So this week's first book I read was Jill Shalvis' Always on My Mind, which is a book I borrowed from the library. I think this is book 8 in the Lucky Harbour series. This one follows Leah and Jack. Leah is a pastry chef. She's just appeared on something which rings similar to me as the Great British Bake Off. It's currently being aired, but she's sworn to secrecy about what has happened and who won. She has a long-term friend, Jack, who she's known since she was younger. He's a firefighter. She's moved back to town to help run her grandma's bakery because her grandma is unwell, and as you can imagine, there's romance, and it's a really good book, and I gave this one 4 stars. Next up are the books that I have been reading as part of the biannual bibliothon, the winter edition. So the first book I picked up was my choice for a book that I've had on my shelf for over a year, and that was Memoirs of a Teenage Amnesiac by Gabrielle Zevin. I read Gabrielle Zevin's storied life of AJ Thickery last year and I loved it. It was just such a heartwarming, sweet tale. I was a bit disappointed with this one, unfortunately. It's about a girl called Naomi. She wakes up in hospital and she has lost 4 years of her life. She can't remember the last 4 years. She's a teenager in high school, and so this means that there's certain things that she needs to start to relearn. It's really a story about friendships and relationships and teenage drama, I suppose, a little bit. I just felt that this was a little bit flat for me. I didn't really feel for any of the characters, and some of the aspects of the story I felt were a little bit unrealistic. Things like if you lost 4 years of your life and you forgot, which she did, a lot of the stuff that she'd learned in school. I think she wouldn't have gone back into normal classes. There would have been special classes and things like that. So there's just little things that niggled me a bit about this. It was okay, but it wasn't a great read, and I gave it 3 stars. Next up was the book that I buddy read with Rosie from Sparkles Books, and that was Alumini by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was the book I chose for the biannual bibliothon on judging a book by its cover. I just think the cover is brilliant and really intriguing, and this book was brilliant. It's a brilliant science fiction book. I really feel that you should go into it semi-blind the way I did, because I really think that it is a book to be read like that and to enjoy the unravelling and the twists and the turn. What I will tell you is the book is written as if it was a document case file. It's written in emails and letters and documents and instant messages, and it's written as if the events have already happened and it's documenting the account for somebody, which is really, really interesting. So you therefore get lots of different points of view. Our main characters are Ezra and Katie, and they've been in a relationship. You find this out at the very beginning. Ezra and Katie were boyfriend and girlfriend. When something happens on the world that they live in, they've just had a fight and broken up, and we just follow them from then on in. It's set in the year 2575, so way in the future, so it's very interesting and sort of what worlds and space travel etc. is like. I was really worried when I started reading this book. It's had a lot of hype and a lot of really good things said about it. And recently, the really overhyped books I've been finding have been a bit disappointing. And the first third of this book, I was thinking, well, I quite like it, but a little bit of confusion. And I was struggling to sort of get to grips with exactly what was going on. And I was thinking, no, please, please, please. But after the third, it all started to click. It moved really fast. It was really interesting. It was really, really good. And I ended up loving it. The ending, when I was chatting to Rosie on Voxer, I was like, wow, the ending. And she was like, wow, the ending. So I really, really loved this book, and I definitely recommend it, and I can't wait to read the next one in the series, and I gave this one 5 stars. The next book I picked up was my choice of a book in my favourite genre, which I think at the moment is YA in general. But sort of YA with maybe supernatural or mythical elements I'm really enjoying, and so I picked up Lorelei by Laura Dockrell. This is a story about mermaids and pirates. It was really well developed in terms of its sort of mythology and lore, and I've seen Laura Dockrell talk about this book when I went to the Cheltenham Literature Festival, which is where I picked it up, and it was really interesting, her telling the stories about mermaids that she'd researched and found out. And within this story, the mermaids' tales are covered in sort of a tapestry, which is meant to depict the things that happened to them when they were humans, because they originally start out as humans. I'm not going to say any more because you'll find out more in the story, but I thought that was a really interesting idea. You've got the mermaids, you've got walkers, which are the humans, you've got sirens, you've got pirates. It's a really fun and interesting story. The only thing I didn't feel with this is I didn't have that emotional connection with any of the characters, which I really need in a YA book to sort of make it that bit extra. I felt the romance in this was really, really rushed, which I wish there had been more time. I can see, given the time scale of this, how it might not have had time to sort of build, but I would rather there had not been a romance in the same way than the romance that was there. However, the ending was very good, bittersweet but lovely, and I enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 stars. And then the final book that I picked up this week was the Biannual Bibliothon's book pick, which is going to be for their live show, and that was Soundless by Richelle Mead. I really loved Richelle Mead's Vampire Academy series, so I had high hopes for this, and unfortunately my hopes were dashed. I really liked the premise of this story. It's about a town where they can't hear anything, so they all speak using sign language, and some of the people in the town are starting to go blind as well, and they're just this small town with their only connection to anybody else is via putting these metals that they mine in their mines in sort of a cable car type thing that goes down the hill to someone at the bottom who they've never met. You can't get out of where they live. It's all sort of enclosed, and it's just about this one girl, and she starts to hear again, and it's about her trying to save her village and her people. The premise was good, as I say, but it was just a bit boring, and it was such a shame because at the end of the book something happens that's quite mythological and exciting, and I kind of wish that had been at the beginning of the story and had been more of the story, because I think then it would have been a better story. So it showed promise, but I did find by the end that I was sort of skim reading the book and reading it fast because I'd lost a bit of interest. So unfortunately I could only give this one 2 stars. And I've totally forgotten another book that I read this week. I read with the lovely Nicole at Dorkerbrain, and this was the book 1 in the All Souls trilogy by Deborah Harkness. We're reading all 3 books in the trilogy this month. The first book is a reread for both me and Nicole, and that was my pick for the Biannual Bibliothon as a reread. I can't show it to you here because I have it on Kindle, but it was a good reread. I really enjoyed it. It got me back into the story. It very quickly came back to me, the story, exactly what had happened, so I think that's a really good sign because I read it over 2 years ago, I think, so it's a really great sign that the story came back to me, and I really enjoyed it again, and I gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4 stars the first time round and 4 stars this time round, so I'm really excited to start book 2. I started book 2 after I'd read book 1 a long time ago, but I never got past the first few chapters, so now is the time to be reading that, so I'm looking forward to it. If you don't know much about this, A Discovery of Witches is the first book, which I just read, and it's about a witch. And it's about a witch, and it's got vampires in it. It's about witches, vampires and demons. It's about an ancient text. It's about the relationship between a vampire and a witch. I don't want to say too much because it all sort of comes about, but it's a really good adult paranormal story, I suppose, and I'm really enjoying it. One book that I've picked up, which is my last book for the biannual bibliothon, and it's only Thursday today, so I think I'm likely to beat my challenge of doing the different tasks, and that is the Unbecoming by Jenny Downer. This is my choice for a book that's over 300 pages, as it's 436, so this will be my book for over 300 pages. I haven't got very far into this yet. I'm only a couple of chapters in. So far I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how this one goes, but I will wrap it up at the end of next week. I'm not sure what else I'm going to read next week, but one book I'm definitely going to be completing is Peter V. Brett's The Desert Spear. I am not very far into this at all, maybe a few chapters. I want to get this read over the next week so that I can start the next book in the series with a couple of booktubers who I'm reading it with. This is the second book in his series, with the first being The Painted Man, which I gave 5 stars to. I absolutely loved it, and if you want to find more about that, then you can check out my favourite books of the year in the science fiction and fantasy category. I talk about The Painted Man, but it's a really, really great series about demons, and yeah, I love it, so I can't wait to get to this one next week. I'm also currently reading a non-fiction book called Mind Change by Susan Greenfield, and this says how digital technologies are leaving their mark on our brains. This book is talking about social media and digital technologies and how that is affecting us and our brains and how we work. I'm sort of just over a third of the way through. I'm trying to read a chapter a night. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite heavy in terms of scientific facts for me, but it's not unreadable. It's not too much. I just have to be thinking when I'm reading it so that I can really digest everything. So 1 chapter a day seems to be the perfect amount. So that's everything I've read this week. That's what I'm looking to read next week. What are you reading? What have you read? Have you read any of these? Let me know your thoughts. Definitely check out Rosie from Sparkles Books because she has a great channel, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye for now, Booktube.